Hello, New York City. It's Heidi from Brooklyn. Today we are going into chapter 1 of my buyer's journey course. So this course is for information for buyers on what to expect and consider when purchasing property in Brooklyn. They will be step-by-step videos breaking down everything you need to consider before you buy your home. To ensure that you're aware of all of the nuances of New York City real estate when purchasing your piece of Brooklyn. So chapter 1 is about having an agent. So why a buyer's agent is a good thing to have. The agent will represent you and your best interests. And not only, does a good agent explain the process of buying, but also advises you for each of the steps, letting you know what to look out for, what to ask for. I like to think of myself as a trusted advisor. And the seller, they have an agent as well, sometimes called the listing agent, and they look out for the seller. And that is their job. You should have somebody looking out for you as well. And it is the law, and a lot of people don't realize this. It is the law that a real estate agent, it's their fiduciary duty to represent and protect their clients, whether it be the buyer or the seller, make sure that their best interests and their confidentiality is upheld. So that is why it's a good reason to have an agent as a buyer. Buying real estate, especially in Brooklyn, it's a huge investment, and it can be very complex. There are many steps. It varies by property type, whether you're looking at condos or co-ops. Dealing with boards, and if you're doing a multi or single family property, there's a lot of things to think about and a lot of steps to take. Your trusted advisor should guide you every step of the way, reducing stress and saving you money, because if sometimes you do a misstep, it costs you money. So your agent should go over timing with you of the overall process. Certain steps of the process take longer than others, but going over this to help ensure that there are no surprises to you or missteps. Like after signing a contract, timing is everything. Things start to move fast and have to happen in parallel. And you don't want to miss a due date because it could cost you money. So a good agent will make sure that that does not happen. So what does a buyer's agent do? A good and professional buyer's agent will meet with you, listen to exactly what you want and exactly what you need. Those are two different things, and I'll explain that in a second. Or if it's an investment property or what have you. So not everybody has the same goals, and that's another thing to determine in this initial meeting. So they will ask you questions to better understand, if you have a unique situation, but they want to know like everything from the size to the lifestyle, your lifestyle, what you want versus what you need. So the needs are the must-haves, and what you want is nice to haves. And sometimes there are just certain things you've got to give up in order to get to the property that you want. Have a checklist so that you can think through everything. Like, what do you want in a building? Do you want, a huge high-rise? Do you want a little tiny boutique building? Do you want a townhouse, a brownstone, a single-family, multifamily, condo, co-op? So figuring out the building itself. But other main things are, besides building, is location, the size. Do you have pets? What floor do you want to be on? High floor, low floor? Do you want to be near the subway, or is the bus fine for you? These are the things that they drill down into. And then the specifics of the apartment amenities, like do you have to have a dishwasher? I have to have a dishwasher. I'm sorry. I grew up having to wash dishes by hand. Do you want a washer and dryer in unit or in building? Do you care if the AC is window? Do you want central? Do you want outdoor space? Do you want a balcony? And then, if it's a building, does it have storage in the basement for you? Do you have to pay for it? Do you want a gym in your building? Do you want parking? Do you want the rooftop? So also during this initial consultation, your real estate agent thoroughly explain the home buying process, as I mentioned, so they're prepared to buy a property. So they'll explain options of how to get, what loan types are, how to find a mortgage lender, information about rates, and then the nuances of the different types of properties in Brooklyn. Nuances meaning if you're buying a co-op, there is a flip tax there. But actually, the seller pays the flip tax. But if you end up selling 5 years down the road, you're going to have to pay that flip tax. Co-ops are very strict. They some of them do not allow subletting, and if they do, they say, okay, well, you can sublet for 2 years, but then you have to move back in for 2 years. And if you want to make renovations, they may not allow that. And when you buy a co-op, you're not actually buying real property. You're buying shares in the building. It's a corporation. So I don't know if everyone knows that. But so these are just the types of things that your agent should inform you of. There's also something called a mansion tax. If you fall in love with the property and it's over $1 million, you're going to have to pay 1% of the purchase price. So that's, $20,000 just right at, 10. Did I say $1 million? Yes, I did. $100,000. Oh my gosh. 1% is $10,000. Anyway, and it increases up to like 35 million. So, and then things like, common charges. So co-ops, common charges, condos, maintenance fees. There's a lot of information to know about the boards. So if you find an apartment you like, then it's our job to do some due diligence. And a good agent will flag things that are going on in the city or the neighborhood that would affect you. For instance, local law 97. And it's an important law now because it's about, decarbonizing the buildings in New York City to reduce our footprint. If you were looking at a co-op or a condo that has a gas stove and other gas utilities, homeowners and condos and co-ops, so the city will likely be heavily impacted by fines starting in 2024. So it's important to know things like that. Your agent will talk you through, how to make an offer, and, what things to ask for or concessions to make. And then they will negotiate effectively on your behalf. And they will advise what home inspections cover and why you need them. And what contingencies are and how they work. And just basically make sure that you're protected in the purchase of your home. But this is why you need a buyer's agent to represent you through one of the biggest purchases and or investments of your life. So the next chapter, I will talk through chapter 2 about getting pre-qualified and what that means and all the things to think about. And just because you get pre-qualified does not mean that you may be necessarily comfortable to buy. There's a lot of things to think through, the cash that you need up front and what you're comfortable with paying for monthlies. I'm Heidi Fawcett with eXp Realty. I'm your neighbor and your relatable real estate agent. Until next time, bye.